Hey, I'm Cindy Olah,
Hi, I'm Jen Piceno.
and we have a run for Alchemy Mystery School, and we're always chatting about interesting stuff. And one of the conversations that we've been having lately is about whether our partner needs to be on the same spiritual path as us in order for us to make that partnership work. So, what do you think, Jen?
I think if I waited for Alfredo, it would be pigs flying in hell before I start doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Um, I've gone, you know our story, but we've weaved and danced all through this, through lots of time and space. And Alfredo is an amazing man. He's got a heart of gold and he's spiritual in his own way. But he's not the guy that's going to go to the gathering of the shamans or go to a retreat that's a spiritual retreat. But he is very deep in his own way. And I think I was trying to have expectations of him early on for him to keep up with me or be with me in all of these experiences, because the experiences were so heart opening and profound that I wanted him there. Like I sincerely wanted him to experience what I was experiencing. But through lots of soul searching and me going deeper within myself, I realized that that's not his path, and we can't drag them along with us. And now I don't think I would have wanted to. I don't think I would have went as deep in my own healing journey had he been sitting in circle next to me. Because quite honestly, a lot of the stuff I needed to heal were the wounds that he created. Right. And that is the truth of it. Like, he is a spiritual teacher for me in the fact that he brought me to my knees more times than not. Right. And we just really, I wouldn't have been able to say out loud and voice my true feelings and let go of the poisons inside of me, those emotional poisons, if he would have been sitting next to me holding my hand. I would have been too codependent and too worried about hurting his feelings.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't
You
be
know?
able to have the same conversations about the emotions and everything. And I'm the same. I mean, with my relationship with Dan, I mean, I know you've been with Alfredo for forever, and I've been with Dan for 20 something years.
Yeah.
And our relationship didn't start that way. Our relationship, I mean, I was in my early 20s, and I wasn't navigating my spiritual path in that direction quite yet. So, we met like at a club. And our relationship was, we definitely have that strong chemistry, that strong attraction that was there from the very get-go. And what and there's just something there, that chemistry has always been there between us, and it had really nothing to do with like the spiritual thing. It was just the chemistry that was naturally there, and it has always been there. And it's same as you, when I finally started to delve into like yoga and the Reiki and the hypnotherapy and the shamanism and all that stuff, Dan wasn't at all interested in any of it. And I was kind of like you, same. I wanted him to be interested in it. But then after lots of soul searching myself, yes, I realized that it wasn't his path. It's not, he doesn't want to do that. He's not into that kind of a thing, but we can make it work though, because he's open-minded. And I think that
Right.
that's the most important thing. Like, he's open-minded, and he'll blow out my candles if I don't leave them on too long.
Yeah, that happens over here.
And
I'm
he
constantly
doesn't,
told I'm going to burn down the house.
yeah, he doesn't ask any questions about what I'm doing. He's just saying,
Yeah.
okay, he'll burn out, or yeah, blow out the candles and watch from afar, and doesn't really ask a whole lot of questions. And I think that that's the best thing for me. And also what we were talking about before, about how, sometimes we put too much expectations, or a person might put too much expectations on their partner, wanting them to be everything. And they don't need to, at least it's my thought, that they don't need to be your everything. But I think that's romanticized so much on TV and movies and
Yes.
Hollywood, that your person needs to be your everything. That
Well, I think it sets us up for failure,
exactly.
because they can't be our everything and we can't be theirs. And it
Mm-mm.
shouldn't be that way, because that's all external. It's all these external hopes and dreams. Whereas when we really are doing the work, it's, I should be completely fulfilled and
Mm-hmm.
whole. And then I want him to enhance that. I want him to be the icing on the cake. But
Mm-hmm.
me as Jen, I'm solid with or without him,
Right.
you know? And I adore him. I don't want him to go anywhere, but I'd be
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Yeah,
you
no.
know? You
And I
know,
think the contrast too is actually kind of nice sometimes to have someone who's there that's not in this like this realm that you can come back to, and they ground you back into, all right, here's the present moment, here's now, here's reality. And there's something really sweet about that that I think we need sometimes, or at least I know I need it.
oh yeah, I'm a Pisces. I'm always out here. No, I mean, I think it's really good. And, Alfredo has, like I said, he's a spiritual teacher for me from that aspect, because he's constantly helping me evolve.
Hmm.
It's not always like in the way I want him to help me evolve, but there's always been a stretching of both of us. And I've seen him evolve by leaps and bounds. And I'm sure you have, because you were in his original dance classes.
Yeah.
He is a totally different man, but
Hmm.
he doesn't go about it in the way that I go about it, right? He receives from spirit in a much different way. And
Hmm.
that has to do with life experiences and upbringing and everything else. I need to be in circle. I love being in community,
Hmm.
right? His community is the dance floor.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
spiritual practice for him
And
in his own way.
with Dan too, I don't think that he needs that kind of spiritual stuff as much as other, like some people need it more. He is a pretty happy and content person.
Yeah.
Period. It's like he
Well,
doesn't really.
he's outdoorsy. He's out in mama nature all the time.
Yeah,
So he
yeah.
needs
So
to
that's
be
that's
fed and
his
nurtured.
his way of doing it. But for the most part, he's just like this kind of happy, content, laid back person already.
Yeah. Alfredo is too. Alfredo's, he's
Yeah.
definitely an optimist on a lot of things that I want to go, hey, reality check.
I know.
So we balance each other on that. And I used to joke, there's an old quote that I'll probably botch up, but I used to say, the rocks in his head will fill the holes in mine, and vice versa. It just depends what the subject is, right? And I think that balance has been fantastic for us as a couple, because if we were exactly alike, oh Lord, we'd be in trouble, you know?
Yeah. So what do you think are some of the key foundations then of having a good, like healthy, thriving relationship that's not necessarily based on having the same spiritual path? Like what
I
are the
think
things you.
definitely for us, and I think you guys are the same, is just having that room to grow.
Mm-hmm.
He's allowing is not the right word. He doesn't limit or stop me from being me,
Mm-hmm.
whether he would do this stuff or not. I have my little therapy room here. I love it's my sacred space. I do what I need to do. He does what he needs to do. And then we all gather up for family movie night. There's no, like you said, there's not a lot of questions. There's not a lot of no limitations.
Mm-hmm.
He'll ask questions every once in a while about, something I'm doing, but more out of a curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then he is open to receiving the work of everything I do. So he's
Mm-hmm.
very open. And what's really interesting is a lot of the stuff I do is because of him taking me to the people he took me to in Mexico. And I was opened up and introduced to so much from experiences that we did share together. But
Right.
that was on my fertility path,
Right. Right.
right? So we did share a lot of those things together, but we didn't, at the time, I didn't feel that it was spiritual. I was just trying to get pregnant, you know?
Right.
But
Yeah.
looking back now, like we went to sweat lodges together. We did
Mhm.
Mayan bath ceremonies together. I mean, oh my gosh, so many different things. We worked with Mexican shamans, sobadoras. I mean, we've had amazing experiences, but at that time of my life, I was just trying to solve a problem.
Right.
So we have had lots of shared experiences, and I think most people have. They just don't realize it until years later when
Mm-hmm.
you learn the lesson of what you were going through,
Yes.
but definitely time and space. Like I love that I can be freely me and he can be freely who he is as a choreographer and a dancer, and me as the shamanic practitioner and healer and a partner with you at the alchemy school. We're both growing
Yes.
in our own passions and our own spiritual gifts. because this is a gift of mine. Alfredo, in his own way, as a dance teacher, he has helped so many people heal through
Mm-hmm.
the art of dance.
Oh,
He
absolutely.
has
Yeah.
helped empower people, get people their confidence back, help people heal from divorce. I mean,
Right.
a
Yes.
counselor of counselors, and me too. I was doing this type of work and not realizing it when I was teaching dance, because people come to you and share all of their problems, their deepest, darkest secrets, and you help them work through that, but you're working through it on the
Yeah.
dance
And
floor.
then the dancing and the moving too. I mean,
Yes,
you
it
know
moves
how
all
people
that stagnant energy through all the chakra
period.
system.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Even you don't realize it from those terms, like you're doing energy work by dancing. I mean, they don't think of it that way, but regardless, you're moving the
mhm.
body and
Yes, and
working
when you allow yourself
through
to
the
express.
grief or working through whatever you're working through, because the body needs that.
Mhm.
Not to mention with the music and everything, putting it all together to
Oh
create
yeah, and that's how I used to release. You know,
mm-hmm.
we help people with emotional releases in different ways, but I used to release that way. I used to take out my anger and grief on the dance floor.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, sometimes it was a hot mess, but it was supposed to be. You know, I was getting what was inside out.
Right. And I also think that some of those just basic characters or basic personality traits, I don't know what the right word is, go a long way. In other words, things like just being kind, you
Mhm.
know, being kind, being open, listening. I mean, I think more than anything in our partnership, that's what makes things work, and being able to accept each other without any kind of judgment. And those
Right.
are just like, these are basic characteristic traits that
Yes.
go a really, really long way, no matter who you're partnering up with.
Yeah, and for me, I think releasing that expectation that I need to have those types of conversations with Alfredo. I don't need to. I can have those conversations with you or with the ladies in circle, or being able to express myself about the healing arts and the shamanic arts. I'll openly share with him as much as he wants to know, but I don't want to force feed him anything that's not his path,
Hmm.
right? I'd rather us be us.
Yeah, well, they won't take it anyways.
Right.
I mean, even when if I start talking about things like that with Dan, you can see when their eyes start to glaze over a little, but they're really trying to listen. But you lost them. You're like, okay.
Yeah, Alfredo listens and takes it in, but yeah, it's not processing.
Yeah.
Actually, Aiden is more involved in everything than Alfredo is with me as far as this stuff.
Yeah.
Aiden is very intrigued by everything, so I share with him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Alfredo's very, I mean, he does it in his own way. Like we built the medicine wheel outside together as a family, and that was really special to me. But it was more because he knew how important it was to me.
Exactly.
It wasn't to him that that rock was that sacred,
Yeah.
but to me it was something that I really wanted to create on that particular day. And the same thing, on solstice, we did at the when the conjunction hit, we went and redid our bands, and he knew that that was really important to me, and he was so sweet. He pulled up all kinds of videos about how important that day was, and I'm like, so I've been telling you.
Mhm.
What I'm telling you. That's why I want to renew the vows on that day. So he does, it is getting in, and he listens, but
Mhm.
I think they react and respond to the information much differently than we do, even just the masculine energy versus the feminine energy.
Yes.
He's actually I think Alfredo is very into like plant medicine. I think that's probably one of his past lifetimes, because he's just natural about working with those types of things, like he grew up with the teas and all of that stuff, and he likes researching plant medicines and things like that. He's always telling me to drink some kind of concoction.
Well, that's probably coming down from his heritage too.
Absolutely, yeah, his grandmas and everybody for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I think it's an important conversation to have, because I hear sometimes people who are looking for relationships and or, trying to find that partner, that sometimes that's one of the things that they put on the list. I want them to be spiritual like me, and not that that's a bad thing, but we're just here to say that it's also not a necessary thing, that you can make a relationship work even if your spiritual paths are not exactly the same,
Hmm.
and that you can make it work just fine, as long as I think what your values are, as far as how you want to be treated, and like be treated with kindness and openness and love and compassion and those kind of things that carry over, and no matter what you believe.
Yes, for sure. I think definitely when you're talking about that, that's like anything. There's so many people that are in multicultural relationships, just like Alfredo and I, and even that is that same kind of conversation, just making sure that we respect both cultures, and then how you're going to bring that in with children. Sometimes it's a different little song and dance,
Yes.
right? So I'm very blessed that Alfredo is open enough that, Aiden is absorbed in everything I do. Like,
Yeah.
he understands offerings and altar work, and he's a Reiki level 2, and we have that agreement together that I want to share everything with him, and he gets to decide what he believes in when he is ready for that, but I
It's the
share
same.
everything with them.
It was the same with Ethan. Ethan's 15 years old now, and we definitely got into some of that stuff when he was younger. And it's interesting too, as he gets older, he's not as interested as he used to be when he was little. And this one thing I'm realizing too is I can't force this on him either.
No.
Like, they get a certain age and they've got to decide for themselves what they're going to want to follow, what they're going to want to believe, and I can't force my belief on him either. Like, I can give him my influence and, give him my advice and things when he asks. Obviously, I'm his mother, but I realize too that as the kids, as they grow up, they're going to cultivate their own personality, and they might go a totally different way, and then that's okay too.
Right.
You can still make it all work,
And that's what you want. You want them to be solid enough in themselves that they can choose and pick the path. And there's so many paths.
He also knows that he can come talk to me about any kind of crazy shit.
Definitely. I'm trying to make sure Aiden understands.
Ask some kind of crazy off-wall question about, something out there, then he knows that he can come to me for that. So
right. And that's worth its weight in gold for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun seeing them grow up and have curiosities. With Aiden, it's been fun for me, for him to ask questions and me have to translate it to him in a way that he can understand at the age of 8.
Yeah.
It's a different way of explaining things, like even just the way energy works and the way we move energy, and understanding it, me digesting it and speaking to him in a way that he can receive it has been a way of stretching me in itself. I've had to understand what I do, because so much of it we've been doing for so long. I started 17ish, some of this stuff. So it's cultivated, and you forget. You forget how you had to put all that work in it to cultivate it, because it's just so natural, like your fingers and toes. And now I'm having to go back and try to understand the very, very tiny, minute sensations and things of that nature to help him understand what he's sensing, feeling, and knowing. And that's been really cool for me, just to go backwards that much and break it down in a way that is easy to understand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. But we're living proof that you can coexist with the muggles.
Against all odds. Against all odds.
You really, really, really can, and you can make it work well. I mean, you can actually make it thrive and have a good, thriving relationship, and that it's possible. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think on that note, we'll wrap up, but also those relationships that have went through some really big bumps and bruises, just know that those are magical lessons just waiting for you to receive. And Cindy knows my story. I've been through a lot with my husband, and love has always been there. That part has never faded through it all. But when I say against all odds, we have made it against all odds. Like, actually, there was bets out on us. I'm positive about it. So, if you really have it in your heart and soul, please just, stretch yourself to know that your husband doesn't, or your boyfriend or your partner doesn't have to be on the exact same path as you. In fact, I think it's a little more interesting if they're not.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Dan and I have definitely, we've contemplated, we've gotten to a point at one point where we contemplated divorce. So it doesn't, like, life is still going to happen amidst the relationship that you're in. In other words, the obstacles are still going to be there for you to figure out, And I don't think that matters whether they're more spiritual or you're more spiritual or whatever. You know what I mean? That doesn't even come into play. The obstacles, the lessons that you're here to learn,
Yes.
you're going to learn them regardless. So, yes.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Jen and I, as you know, we run For Alchemy Mystery School, and we have the course initiation that's coming up. It's starting on April the 24th. And one of the things that we love about the course is that we do create sacred space so that we can begin to have some of these conversations. Because sometimes you don't have, well, because I know a lot of people, they do their work all by themselves. They're more like loners, or they feel like they're loners, but it's always a good idea to, even every now and again, come out and talk to other people, and talk to other people who are on the same wavelength or path as you are, to a certain degree, so that you can chat about these things that are important. And that's certainly one of the things that we do when we gather in our courses. Initiation or the calibration is the one we're running right now, which is the second part. But anyways, it's supporting each other on this path that we're in, and knowing that you don't have to go at it alone. And that's such a big part. Even if you want to go at it by yourself, there are certain things that I think are just better done having conversations or connections with other people every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. I did most of it alone. It's a much harder journey.
Yeah, it takes you longer.
Yeah, it takes longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's more ouchy. It's good to build sacred sisterhood. And, I think that's something we've done a really good job at with Alchemy School and with our businesses individually, is we have created such a safe space. And people have developed incredible, incredible friendships from it, because they are sometimes helping that other person up, or they give someone to lean on, or being held in that space in such a way that you can just be yourself, whether it's messy or vibrant or somewhere in between, but you're just totally loved and adorned for exactly who you are and exactly where you're at.
Yeah, and I think that helps you come into your relationships better and stronger too, because you're
it relieves our partners of having to do all of that for us, which I think also, at least for me, I'll reach out to Cindy, or I'll reach out to one of my good girlfriends, and I will have them come with me in sacred sisterhood, so I can work through my emotions before I have a hard conversation.
Yeah.
And I go about it much differently.
Yes, exactly. Especially if you're charged and you have a lot of
yes,
anger, whatever that's going on that hasn't quite processed through you yet.
Yeah. Now, when I was younger, I didn't do it that way. My Sicilian blood would take over and I wanted to fight, but now I really go down, inward, in and down. And I try to process as much as I can myself. And then there's times where I just need to speak it out. It's good to be witnessed. There's a reason why cultures all around the world come together and gather together, and they witness their celebrations, but also their failures. And they're celebrated for that too, in sacred community, that they survived it, that they got through it, and now they're on the other side of it.
Exactly.
And you're always going to have ups and downs with relationships, friendships, and family. That's what we are here to experience.
Right.
But having somebody help you through it and justify your feelings, no matter how crazy and wild they are. Sometimes we need that, and that's enough to bring us back down and inward, where when we're back in partnership, that we're a little more level-headed and not the crazy Sicilian girl ready to throw.
Yeah. And it was like you were saying, when we expect our partners to be our everything, I think you're setting yourself up for something that's not going to be pretty.
It is.
Not for you. I mean, just for your own heart. When you're putting, one, that's a lot of pressure to put on another person. And then plus you're handing over all your power to.
Because you're saying, I'm not going to be happy and fulfilled unless you're here with me. And that's just jacked up in its own way.
Yeah.
And I did it. I mean, I definitely was there, and I'll never forget. There was a time that I was really listening to a lot of Marianne Williamson and following her work. And I got to talk to her on the phone one day. where she took my call, and she had this topic where she talked about it. And she's like, no, that's not their job.
Mm-mm.
That is not their job. That's what you got girlfriends for.
Exactly.
And it hit home because I was growing spiritually so fast. Because when I
Right.
jumped in, I jumped right off, like leap of faith for real. I just was all in.
Yeah.
And I was letting it beat myself up that I loved Alfredo so much. I adore him. He is the love of all of my love. And I felt wrenched, like, are we going to grow apart? Because it felt at the time like we were really, really just growing apart. I was going in one direction and he was in another. And I needed to hear that at the time. So
Oh, absolutely.
from my red lips to your ears, whoever's listening, I hope that whoever needs to hear that is here and listening today, because I think part of that saved my marriage. Like, if I would have kept Alfredo in the box to be a spiritual man doing exactly what I do, exactly how I do it, we would have never survived.
No, absolutely not. Neither would mine at all whatsoever. And it can still be, again, it can still be fun.
Yeah.
And you will still have things to talk about.
Oh, you have plenty to talk about.
We'll have plenty of things to talk about.
Plenty. I mean, there's always going to be fun stuff. And like I said, they can pop in and out and be as involved in what you do as you wish. And
Mm-hmm.
just know that they do things differently. And that's just how it is.
Yes, yeah. But that is the main thing, is just finding your way. Some people are on the same spiritual path and they make it work just fine as well.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we're just here to say that it doesn't have to be a necessity. I think we're living proof of that part. And I
Yeah.
think there's probably a lot of people that out there watching this that would agree too.
Yeah. And we'd love to, hear from you guys, open up and share with us your stories, because it helps other women that are new on this path
Mhm.
grow and thrive and feel safe and welcomed. So use your wisdom wisely and share it
Yeah.
with those who are coming in. And I think that's all. I
Yeah,
feel complete. Do you
yeah,
feel
and
complete?
yeah, that was good. Yeah, so again, initiation starting April 24th. It's both of us that are running the course together. It's going to be online as well, offered through Zoom, as well as in Marietta at Sacred Garden Yoga in the studio space. So I hope that perhaps you'll give that a consideration.
Yeah, just reach out. We're here.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.